students, welcome to today's lesson. As you remember, in the previous lesson, we started our discussion on the tropical or hot zone. The tropical or hot zone, one of the three temperature zones, and this zone divided into 4 subregions. These are the equatorial rainforest region, the savanna grassland region, the desert region, and the tropical monsoon lands. From these 4 subregions, we discussed in detail about the equatorial rainforest region and the desert region. Today we are going to discuss about Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is one of the tropical countries located in East Africa. And at the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain the relative location of Ethiopia, and you also able to list the major highlands and lowlands of Ethiopia. Students, are you ready to start the lesson? Good. First, let us see some points about location. Location refers the position or site that a place occupies. Location can be understood in 2 ways. These are relative location, absolute location. The relative location of a place can be obtained in relation to water bodies or land masses. Relative location can be expressed in terms of compass points such as north, east, south, and west. Let us see the relative location of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is located in the Horn of Africa, and it shares common boundaries with 5 neighboring countries. These are Eritrea in the north, Djibouti and Somalia in the east and southeast, Kenya in the south, Sudan in the west. From these 5 neighboring countries, Ethiopia shares the longest boundary line with Sudan. It is 1,750 kilometers. And the shortest boundary line with Djibouti, it is 310 kilometers. So, Ethiopia is located relatively south of Eritrea, east of Djibouti and Somalia, north of Kenya, and east of Sudan. This is the relative location of Ethiopia. The total size of Ethiopia is 1,106,000 square kilometers. In terms of land area size, Ethiopia is 10th in Africa and 25th in the world. When you come to the absolute location of a place, can be obtained in reference to parallels of latitudes and meridians of longitudes. These are an imaginary line which draw horizontally and vertically respectively. These lines are measured in degrees. They are also expressed in numbers. Ethiopia has 4 extreme points. These are the southernmost tip, the northernmost tip, the westernmost tip, and the easternmost tip. Based on these 4 extreme points, the absolute location of Ethiopia is 3 degrees north to 15 degrees north of the equator. This is the latitudinal location. Longitudinally, it is located 33 degrees east to 48 degrees east of meridian. This is the absolute location of Ethiopia. Let us see this map once again. Based on the 4 extreme points, the latitudinal location of Ethiopia 3 degrees north to 15 degrees north of the equator. This is the latitudinal location. Longitudinally, it is located 33 degrees east of meridian to 48 degree east of meridian. This is the absolute location of Ethiopia based on the 4 extreme points: the northernmost tip, the southernmost tip, the westernmost tip, and the easternmost tip. Let us proceed to the relief structure of Ethiopia. First, relief means the difference in altitude and structure of any part of the earth. Ethiopia is characterized by different landforms. These are mountains, plains, depression, and valleys. These major landforms classified into highlands and lowlands. Places or areas considered as highlands or lowlands depend on their altitude of greater than or less than 1000 meters. Let us see the major highlands of Ethiopia. The highlands of Ethiopia are grouped into 3 categories. These are the northern highlands, include Tigray, Gojam, Wello, Gondar, and the Shwa plateaus. The southwestern highlands include Wallagga, Ilibabur, Kafa, Gamogofa, and Benshangul highlands are the southwestern highlands. The southeastern highlands separated from the northern and the southwestern highlands by the Great Rift Valley. The southeastern highlands include the Arsibale Massif, Jimma Plateau, and Hararge highlands are the major highlands of Ethiopia. This is the map which shows the major highlands of Ethiopia. The northern highlands include Tigray, Wello, Gojam, Gondar, and the Shwa plateaus. The southwestern highlands also found here. The southeastern highlands, the Arsibale Massif. These are the major highlands of Ethiopia. Generally, the highlands of Ethiopia account more than half of the total area of Ethiopia. And these highland areas experience cool and abundant amount of rainfall. Altitude also controls the climate of Ethiopia. Let us proceed to the major lowlands of Ethiopia. Places or areas below 1000 meters considered as lowlands. In Ethiopia, most of the lowlands are found in the peripheral part of the country. The lowlands of Ethiopia classify into 3. These are the western lowlands, include Tekkeze Satit lowlands, Abai Dinder lowlands, and Baro Akobo lowlands. The southeastern lowlands include Borana, Erkale, and Ogaden lowlands are the major lowlands of Ethiopia. The third lowland is the Awash Afar lowland, occupies the floor of the Rift Valley. The Awash Valley extends from the south of Qoqa Dam to the mouth of Awash River. Afar depression extends northwards within the floor of the Rift Valley. It is the lowest point of Ethiopia and what we call Kobar Singh. It is 160 meters below the sea level. Let us see the climate of Ethiopia. Depend on the above lesson, latitudinally Ethiopia lies 3 degrees north to 15 degrees north of the equator. And it lies within the tropics. Even though it lies within the tropic, the tropical temperature condition is not occurred or experienced all over the country. This is because most of the Ethiopian areas are highlands and these highlands experience cool and abundant amount of rainfall. In addition to that, altitude play a great role controlling of the climate of Ethiopia. When altitude increase, temperature decrease. But the tropical temperature condition experienced and limited to the lowland areas of Ethiopia, especially the peripheral parts, because most of the lowlands are found in the peripheral part of the country. Traditionally, the climate of Ethiopia divided into 5. These are Beraha or hot arid. This zone is found below 500 meters above the sea level. The mean annual temperature between 30 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius or above that. The second one is Qolla or warm to hot semi-arid zone. This zone is found between 500 to 1500 meters above the sea level. In this zone, the mean annual temperature between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. The third one is Wenadega or warm to cool semi-humid zone. This zone is found between 1500 to 2300 meters above the sea level, and the mean annual temperature between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. The fourth one is Dega or cool to cold humid zone. This zone is found between 2300 to 3300 meters above the sea level, and the mean annual temperature between 10 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. The fifth one is Wirch or cold moist temperature. This zone is found above 3300 meters above the sea level. The mean annual temperature in this zone is below 10 degrees Celsius. And this is the zone of the transition from the coniferous forest to different vegetation, especially Asta is the most dominant plants in the region. Students, now it's time to perform some activities depend on the above lesson. Do this activity. I will come back soon. Welcome back, students. Did you manage to list the major highlands and lowlands of Ethiopia and explain the relative location of Ethiopia? Well done. Let us check your answers together. Based on the above lesson, Ethiopia is located in the Horn of Africa and it shares common boundaries with 5 neighboring countries. These are Eritrea in the north, Djibouti and Somalia in the east and southeast, Kenya in the south, and Sudan in the west. These are the 5 countries share common boundaries with Ethiopia. From these 5 neighboring countries, Ethiopia shares the longest boundary line with Sudan and the shortest boundary line with Djibouti. So, the relative location of Ethiopia is south of Eritrea, north of Kenya, east of Sudan, North and South Sudan, because recently Sudan divided into 2 sovereignty countries, and west of Djibouti and Somalia. This is the relative location of Ethiopia. The second answer, the major highlands of Ethiopia classified into 3. These are the northern highlands, include Tigray, Wello, Gojam, Gondar, and Shawa plateaus. The southwestern highlands include Wallagga, Kafa, Gamo, Gofa, Ilibabur, and Benshangul highlands. The southeastern highlands separated from the northern and the southwestern highlands by the Great Rift Valley, and the southeastern highlands include Arsi Valley massifs. Jimma Plateau and Hararghe highlands are the highlands of Ethiopia. The western lowlands, the southeastern lowlands, and Awash Afar lowlands are the lowlands of Ethiopia. These are the major highlands and lowlands of Ethiopia. Students, were all your answers correct? Good job. This is all about for today. We have seen some points about location. Location refers to the position or site that a place occupies. Location can be understood in 2 ways, relative location and absolute location. In a relative location, places or countries can be obtained in reference to water bodies or land masses. In absolute location, places or countries can be obtained in a reference of parallels of latitudes and meridians of longitudes. Based on these lines, we can obtain the exact or the absolute location of countries or places. We have seen also the relief structure of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is characterized by different landforms such as mountains, plains, depression, and valleys, and these major landforms classify into highlands and lowlands. And highlands in Ethiopia account more than half of the total areas of the country. Areas or places considered as highlands or lowlands depend on their altitude of greater than or less than 1,000 meter. If area less than 1,000 meter considered as lowland, if areas or places greater than 1,000 meter considered as highlands. We have seen also the major highlands and the major lowlands of Ethiopia, and we have seen also the climate of Ethiopia. Ethiopia lies within the tropic. Even though it lies within the tropic, the tropical temperature condition is not experienced or occurred all over the country. This is because most of the areas of Ethiopia highlands, as a result, these highland areas experienced cool and abundant amount of rainfall. In addition to that, altitude also play a great role, because when altitude increase, temperature decrease. And we have seen also the traditional climate zone of Ethiopia, Berha, Qolla, Wena Dega, Dega, and Wirch. This is all about for today. For next program, we will discuss the second temperature zone, that is the temperate zone. Until then, goodbye students.